Hi, this is we're doing a quick after action report. This is Brent Olson, who I played with, and this is a fun game. It went really remarkably. How should I put it? It went remarkably fast in a very slow way, right? The game is over in two and a quarter moves, basically, because of the way the whole activation process works. And we were doing this right, but we did what we did. It was meeting engagement, right? It was meeting engagement, and the American forces kind of drew up in a line over here. The British marched up, and it was we had, well, I don't know. The Americans had a mixed group. They had a lot of Continental infantry and a large militia group and a gun and some light dragoons. Light dragoons were over here. There were some riflemen too. The Hessians, the Hessian brigade showed up. Go about here. They showed up. There's a stupid tavern that was in the way. So the Hessian brigade showed up here. There were some Jaegers, and then there were some Hessian infantry and some Hessian Fusiliers over here. And on the other side, what happened is the British advanced. The 17th Foot came up to the side of the tavern. They started to move the gun over here, and they moved over some light dragoons. And the Grenadiers were behind. And what happened is almost immediately, had some riflemen over here, right? And the riflemen had a good round, and they basically routed because they were small elements, tiny elements. The Jaegers lost a man, and they ran, and they got to the edge of the table, and they rolled again, and they lost that, so they disappeared. So they were out of the action immediately without firing a shot.
Without hitting anyone.
Without hitting. Well, that's right. That's right. We did let them. We forgot because we forgot they had snap fire, but then we didn't do it. But then we did it retroactively, and they missed. So yeah. So basically, Brent was really aggressive with the command rolls where you roll to get an extra action,
Yeah.
and his gun came up over here and was just devastating. It just shot the heck out of the 17th Foot. Basically, because did you get 3 rounds of fire? I think with that gun.
Yes, and the way I interpreted the charts, every 6 caused a disorder. Yeah, every 6 caused a disorder with the round shot, and every 6 allowed you to re-roll it.
And yeah, so these guys were just picking up disorder points like you wouldn't believe.
No.
What's that?
I'd get 2 6s. I got 2 6s the
Yeah.
first 2 shots, and 2 6s caused a disorder. Then subsequently we looked at it appears that ball shot causing a casualty causes a disorder. But we may have not been doing it consistently all the way through, but this artillery was devastating. A lot of the 6s were involved, and a lot of successful command point pushing the unit to keep acting was involved.
So basically, the 17th Foot, they never did anything in this battle except march up. They were I took a possession. The Americans were advancing rapidly, and there were dragoons over here. So the Hessians were like in a line off the building. The Grenadiers went into the building. The 17th Foot was here, and before they could push off or anything, they basically got every turn they get so hammered that all they could do is spend their activation points to remove the disorder, and that was it. So they ultimately just got pushed back. Right now they're exhausted. I think they're like ready to just flee. And then essentially what happened is over here, the American. I did get a gun deployed very rapidly over here, and it caught the rebels in the flank. And it did some damage. It inflicted 3 hits. But the problem is the way unless they're misinterpreting the rules, getting the gun over there meant, sending it off that far meant it couldn't get more command points because it had to go out of the command range. So it could only fire once. So it fired once, and then it couldn't keep repeating the gunfire. And so it was not able to it could have caused a lot of damage. The American line was coming through here literally like on its flank, but because it didn't have the command points, it really couldn't do anything about it. So basically, the American line came plowing through here. The Hessians got off like what was it, one round each, I think.
They did snap fire, right?
The Hessians, yeah, the Hessians had, and I know the Hessians moved slowly because they did move slowly, so they only had enough points to basically get into position and then have snap fire. So they got off one snap fire, and that was it. And then the Continental line comes charging in on them, and by firing, reloading, firing, and using command points to do rolls to get extra actions, you got what, maybe 6 volleys in on them or something?
In the end, yeah.
In the end, and then what happened, what really killed me is, he went second. He went second in one game round, and he won the initiative in the next, and he went first. So he basically got 2 rounds of firing on me without a chance to reload so that they could even do snap fire or remove any disorder. So basically, the Hessians were here. The Americans come racing up. They got 1 volley off from snap fire, and they were never able to reload and return fire as they got volley upon volley from the American line. So they ultimately fell apart. The British Grenadiers were in this building here, and so we're kind of like, obviously it's pretty much over at this point. Although I am curious, I might play just to see how things work out. But at this point, the American line did take enough fire from those 2 Hessian volleys, right? And from the 1 gunfire that they're all shaken because they're shaken from the gun, from just that 1 volley from the Hessians, and 1 blunt from the gun made them shaken, and they were militia, so they came in shaken. And we've got the Dragoons then came charging in, right? Because the initiative worked in their favor, and so they hit the Fusiliers and chased them off, and they're exhausted. So at this point, we were just talking about what might happen, and Brent's saying he's not even sure. Do you really want to take on a building full of British Grenadiers with shaken troops?
No.
So it's like probably time to declare a victory, and you definitely would be a victory, and just
kind of the next closest tavern,
and just call it a day, because you don't want to get like a Cliveden situation here. I guess really I don't know how much damage the gun only got to fire. I guess it fired twice, maybe. Did it fire twice? I think once. I think it's right. I think it only fired once.
Yeah, you advanced.
Well, because I had to get in a position to fire
and unlimbered and then fired.
Yeah. So there's definitely an advantage. Brent kind of got the best of both worlds here because of his clever generalship. Because you got the defensive advantage with your cannon, because your cannon was already in position, so you could start firing right away. But then you were also very aggressive, and by coming in and being real assertive and taking risks with the rolls to get extra turns, that really worked out well, and just clobbered them. So it's interesting because this technically, the game technically, like I said, wasn't even 3 turns, and we got this decisive result. And I don't know. It was fun. I definitely want to play it again. We are wondering if the cannons might be a little overpowered. Do you still think that, or what do you think? For long range, or is it just the luck?
They were incredibly lucky. I'm wondering is it true that double sixes is going to give 1 disorder, any casualty is going to give another disorder, so that if you fire, you're going to fire twice in a turn when you're in position anyway. If you're lucky on both shots, you've caused a morale test and already given them
2 disorders. You put 2 disorders on them.
At a time.
Yeah.
4 disorders and a morale check.
And that's the thing. I just have to wonder, especially as a Revolutionary War reenactor. There's how disordered can you get? It's like if you're disordered, you're disordered. And I suppose there's a difference between. I don't know. There's probably a difference between. I think back. Probably there was a time at Battle the recreation of Battle Road at Lexington Concord, the 225th, where we were like at the line. We had enough troops that we could actually experience this. We did a bayonet charge down, up a hill, and then down a hill, and all the ranks got so commingled that it really took us some effort to get everyone back together again. But I mean, when you're taking artillery fire, how disordered can you really get? I mean, it's like, I suppose, are they like running away or something? But that's a different factor. So that's the only thing I have to wonder about, being able to, I don't know, get literally, so the only thing you can do is get out of disorder, or try to get out of disorder. That's the only criticism I guess I have about the rules as they are, unless I misunderstood the way they go. But
that may be a clarification on how disordered can artillery fire cause a unit to get.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we made a mistake there, but it's definitely interesting, and it certainly has I don't think I'd want to try to do the Battle of Long Island with a set of rules, but like with a smaller, like a brigade against a brigade, it makes for a really engaging game, I think.
Yes, and if it's correct that each turn you determine who goes first, if that's the correct way to play it, which certainly it appeared to be,
yeah,
then it makes it less of a one-on-one competition, let's see who the better player is, and more of a narrative game, because that allows things to happen. That allows for some real dynamic changes in the game.
But there are moments like that in battles where it's like one side is just like go, 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 and the other side is, because they have an incompetent commander, or, I mean, I know after the defeat of the British Navy, down at Yorktown against the French fleet, someone said, like, it was, I think I read once about some account where it's like we were asleep, like they were getting to refit the ships to go down and fight the French Navy, and just no one really was doing anything with any speed or any sense of urgency. They were just, probably just kind of demoralized, I suppose. So, I mean, those things can happen. I mean, it's a very fun narrative battle. And I honestly don't know the last time my clock's been cleaned this thoroughly, but it was pretty enjoyable. Despite that. And again, part of the weakness is the Hessians. And the Hessians had a reputation for being really thorough and very slow. So, and the concentrated fire, when they did fire, it was powerful. So there was a trade-off there. So I really like that. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was probably in retrospect, it was a tactical mistake of me to advance I didn't have to advance here with the freaking building in the way, I could have had them all on one side. What my plan was, oh, ha, 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 he's over there. I'm going to hit him in the flank. And these guys are going to hold, and they're going to use the building to hold, and they're going to hit you in the flank. But you moved up so fast that it didn't work, So, anything else to add, or Brent?
No,
or?
I was intrigued by the rules when I read them and knew I needed to see them. So I suspect to get a better understanding. I suspect that we did things differently, or over time would come up with some house understanding of how rules work best. But these are very intriguing.
And they're definitely unique and different, and a lot of time and effort's clearly been put into them too.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought involved in each turn. And it is cool that there's a dynamism in what happens. And that was one of the strengths, if you will, of Warhammer, the old ancient and medieval Warhammer rules. They were clunky and unrealistic, but there was a clear sequence of events, and there was a charge with this character attached. And William the Conqueror made a difference, and it was his charge that swept away this other side. And that's in the same that makes a great game. When you could, years from now, we'll remember that the Hessians were annihilated.
I mean, and that happened at Bennington, right? And I should note, I don't know, this is really helpful. This is put together by, was it John Freitag, it looks like?
Yes.
Did this chart, and I gotta tell you, honestly, this is really what made this, for someone who never played this game without a YouTube video on how to play the game, this was really quite helpful, and really moved things along for us. So, well, with that, I guess I'll probably just sign out. But yeah, it was fun.